in the US, I guess humanism is seen in a different way. I do know that a lot of people look at it as a foundational guide of sorts. But
Yeah.
then there are what are called commitments. I think it has been adopted more so because in the US we have such a heavy problem with Christian nationalism, right? And such a heavy focus on, like I said, putting the Ten Commandments in schools and such. And so I think humanism has been attempting to counter that. And one way of doing that was like, hey, if we had 10 commitments to counter the 10 commandments, maybe we can get somewhere. But that seems to be a different approach from Australia's approach. How does it work over there?
Look, over here we're very new. I won't lie about that. Our at the state level, funnily enough, it's very similar to how Australia started off to begin with. We had states, and then we sort of tried to combine them all. That's a funny coincidence. I digress. I'm doing a lot on Australian history at the moment, and I'm just realizing there's
I like it.
similarities. But
I don't know much about
in,
Australia, so go for it.
yeah. Well, a lot of Australians don't either. So, but I won't go into that. But at the state level, we had some really strong humanist, communities. We've still got a pretty strong one in Victoria. A few of the other states are dying out or have died out, in the sense that they just didn't have the memberships to maintain themselves ongoing. I don't know the exact reasons why that happened. It doesn't truly make sense to me. If people were like, getting it out there, I just have to assume that people weren't pushing it, and therefore we weren't getting numbers through. But what I do know is that from what I can see is that they predominantly are guided by the International Declaration of Humanism. My understanding, and I may be wrong, but when I was entering humanism for the first time, is that Humanist American Humanist Association, is guided by the what is it? I've got it right here in front of me, actually. Humanism and its aspirations. The Humanist Manifesto number 3, which is a successor to the Humanist Manifesto of 1933. That was the first one I came across, and I thought was really cool, and I like it. I believe a lot of it in there, but I found that the modern declaration is simpler for me to understand, and it's written out a bit more guided. That being said, what does Australia believe? Australia has a lot of free thinkers. So although they generally conform to the declaration, there is, I wouldn't say that they do it because they believe in the declaration. I think they do it more so because they're just good people in general, and they're committing to, and they align with the declaration more so, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It does. Absolutely. Yeah, I like that. And I do know that it's probably different here state by state. And I'm pretty sure in Canada they use mostly the same declaration that you mentioned, and sort of like a general definition of humanism and what it stands for and all of that. For as far as I've seen, the sort of 10 commitments are altruism, critical thinking, empathy, environmentalism, ethical development, which is basically, becoming a better person, global awareness. This one is like about humility and recognizing that everybody has strengths and weaknesses, and, to help you realize your own limitations and how to have more compassion for yourself and for other people. Because we have to always remember to, while we're being compassionate towards other people, to be compassionate with ourselves as well. The next one
Yes,
is,
which is a lot of
yeah,
people don't do enough self-compassion, self-love.
absolutely. That has been definitely one of those things that I've sort of struggled in the past with myself, and but I've learned a lot from applying my compassion to other people, and then eventually being like, wait, what am I? Why am I not given myself that same consideration, right? And then the last two are responsibility, basically understanding that your choices have consequences, and service and participation, like helping your community, expecting nothing in return, and getting to know the community so that you can better understand their needs. There's actually an event coming up this weekend, and I'm pretty certain that it is backed by the American Humanist Association, and it's kind of like a day reminder for people to have empathy for others. And so different states and cities are doing their own events, and they were given um, like a little bit of financial help from the organization to help them set up the events.
Mm.
And where I am at in
Yeah, great.
Houston is Secular Houston, which is an organization. I don't know if you know Will Judy. He's kind of known in the community for he's an activist, and so he runs Secular Houston, and he is doing a. They're basically it's kind of like a food pantry type thing where people bring in a bunch of food, and then the volunteers, which I'm going to go and volunteer, and my husband is going to cover it because he's a news reporter, so he does the coverage for it. And my teenagers also coming to help. And we're packing up lunches, and then we go out and deliver them to the local community. But
Yeah, nice.
specifically, this is done at a local LGBTQ center, and they have
Hmm.
a really high focus on helping LGBTQ youth, especially who are unhoused or what we would call underhoused, which means that sometimes they may be couch surfing, like they're staying with friends because their own family have kicked them out because they're part of LGBTQ community and such. And so we're talking about
Mm.
mostly teenagers to young adults. And so this
Yeah.
specific organization does a lot for that. And I thought it was really amazing of the humanists, the American humanists to do that, to help each city show how we can help the community, and how we can actually understand what exactly does the community need. And in
Mm.
this specific center, the LGBTQ center, they help out people of all ages. You sometimes we go on Fridays, and it's like all of these different groups. It's like a huge building, and there's like different groups that meet up. They do things like helping people recover from addiction. They have groups that help ex-military member veterans. There are teenage groups, which is the one my teenager attends. They have like gaming stuff for like people. They have HIV testing. They have all kinds of. They have trans educators. So all sort of different things for the community, and that's how we're like, okay, hey, what exactly do you need this time of the year? And
Mm.
this specific one was like, okay, we're focusing on the needs of teenagers and young adults that are needing assistance with food, or people sometimes in clothing, um, any kind of basic necessities that they may have. So, I mean, that's part of
Yeah.
like you don't need to be religious to do that.
No, no, and I think that that's like, one of the things that, when I think of religions at their best, that's the stuff that they're known and good at. When there's floods and like, natural disasters over in other countries, I see a lot of like religious groups, they do come forward and they do put up their support and things like that. That's, the things that I love to see from a human perspective. I think that that's not just a religious thing, it's a human thing. But yeah, it is one of those little things, is that when you move away from sort of like that, that group sort of thing, everyone becomes a little bit more scattered. And I think that that's one of the strengths that humanism has to sort of dive into as a whole, is that getting a little bit more organized around these, like, support systems. So like, yeah, it's great that everyone's got their own ideas and how they want to do it, but we're better together ultimately. And we just need to figure out a way that we can prioritize, that more people can be able more easily join in on doing the soup kitchens and things like that, is a great way. So organizing more activism. But then again, we also need to be wary that like it's great to do that, but there's a lot of people out there that aren't ready to do activism that still need the fundamentals of humanism. They need the support. So we're trying to juggle a lot of balls at once at the moment, and so it'd be great to say, yeah, hey, let's all organize this thing to go down and be, do this activism of like, a soup kitchen or what, volunteer work. But then we need to also take a step back and just be like, we just need to have fun too. We need to allow ourselves to be engaged with one another and build up those regular engagements, which aren't based on anything than just, a human to human connection. I'm actually volunteering with a service at the moment, which is just that actually with Social Health Australia, where it is, I'm not doing anything for the fella. I'm just down there. I'm spending a bit of time with him, and he's gone through his own things. I won't go into it, but he is. I'm just sitting there, and sometimes we just sit there in silence because that's what he needs. Is a bit of human, another person there that he can feel connected to. So
yeah, that's
but
good.
we need to do that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I was talking to one of the members of our community who runs an organization that is similar, but in Tennessee. And we were talking about how the structures of church are always bringing in a lot of funding and a lot of money, and that's how they're able to do all of these things. And the problem with that we have in the secular community is that we are not working with each other. We are not understanding of like, hey, you sell shirts and I need shirts. Like we just go and buy it off of Amazon instead of like going to someone else that is already part of the community and who can provide that service, and we can benefit them and they can benefit us. And then, we can sort of help each other. And then the next time that somebody else needs shirts, then you're like, oh, hey, I bought them from this person. Why don't you, that sort of thing. And I hate to use the term of keeping the money in the community or sort of thing, but it is what makes all of these other groups successful, right? The support that they provide each other. And we understand that capitalism is a part of our society and we can't hide from it, unfortunately, as much as we wish we could. It costs money to do things. And like, for example, the volunteer event that I just mentioned, they were able to put it together because American Humanist, the large organization, gave them this grant to be able to pay for that. Otherwise, it would be a lot harder for this very small. Oh, what was it?
Not to brag, but I sell shirts.
Amber does sell shirts, and they're really amazing. Okay, so if you go to astralpride.com, Amber has made these T-shirts designed, which are like LGBTQ flags, but the images used are from NASA, so they are from space, and they're like really cool designs. They're really awesome. So yeah,
that's cool. That's cool.
We need to get the advertisement for that. We talk about getting an advertisement for that for the show.
Yeah. But yeah, I totally agree. I've got so many mates that like, oh yeah, I needed my tax done, so I reached out to my church first. I needed this done, and there's a person in my church that does that. I need this done, and like their first go point is the community, and then it's out from there, which is just. I don't know. I haven't seen a lot of it. I know from an Australian perspective that that's not happening yet. I'd love it to happen. I've got plans of how I can get that to happen, but we've got to be. I don't know what it's like over there, but it sounds like you're in a similar boat where it's like, oh yeah, I'm just going to go do it myself. Or, once again, those free thinkers. I love them, but sometimes they just need to calm down. And be like, yeah, I can just go to my, already in group and just be like, hey, anyone got going something here? I don't have to go research the heck out of it and be like, this is the best that I can do. This is just, blah, 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 blah. There's a little bit of trust that you can give to the community and just be like, yeah, okay, you sell shirts. I'm not going to fight you on it. I'm just going to, engage with you because you're one of mine, I know that's going to get the me and others sort of scenario going. Just don't do that. Like, we all know that that's wrong, but let's start with an understanding of community first of us.
Right. Yeah. And it's about understanding what what skills someone has and what they have to offer and what everybody needs. I seem to have become their community's social media manager and graphic creator, graphic designer. I'm working for, well, not working, I'm volunteering, like I don't get paid for it, for like 3 different secular organizations, and like everybody's like, hey, can you make me a graphic? And I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. No, I've been told like, hey, you should get paid for it. So I'm thinking about setting up a website or something. But I do it because I want to help people. I like helping. I don't necessarily like want to get the money for it.
Yep. I will go back to the values that you were just talking about then. In regards to those, because you were rattling off different things like community and reason and whatnot, we do actually have 9 values as Humanist Australia that we've stuck up, and they're not based, or they're not connected to the Declaration of Humanism. So these are the things that we believe that as Humanist Australia, we want to strive for, and I can read them off quickly. If you give me a moment. So first is compassion, and we've got the descriptor of what each means, so I can rattle them off and push back on any of these as well if you feel like it. We have compassion for all humans and other feeling beings. We strive to understand their point of view and individual needs. We speak respectfully to others even when we disagree. So
I completely agree with that one.
Nice.
I will definitely more people should do that, for sure.
Yes, absolutely. We've got community. We believe in the importance of community and act locally to build a global network of people with shared values.
Nothing against that one.
Cool. Next is reason. When making decisions, we use evidence and rational thought to assess the likely impact of our actions. We value the information obtained through ongoing scientific research and recognize that this evolves and changes over time.
I like that. And I think that I've run across a lot of people who are even atheists who do not seem to have the ability to take new information in, and you present them with facts or with evidence of something. It's like, hey, look, there was a research study about this, and they just completely refuse to see it. They are very much conspiracy theory driven sort of thinking. So it's really hard for them to get into that part of it, the reasoning of humanism. Yeah.
I know the one. We've got diversity. We believe the strength of humanity lies in diversity. We welcome people of all ethnicities, sexual orientations, gender identities, and cultural backgrounds, and strive to ensure they feel included. We value and respect people for their own sake and treat them ethically as equals. We believe all should have the same rights and opportunities.
And I think America should adopt Australia's values of humanism. Those seem better than the ones that I read of earlier. I mean, that they did not have that included, so I like that.
No, that's all good. We've got several more. Resolve. We are determined to stand up for what we believe is right. We strive to work for a better future for ourselves, our family, our community, and the world. We are not afraid to speak truth to power. Let me rephrase that. We are not afraid to speak truth to power. We persevere even in the face of adversity.
I like that. And I think it is good to speak truth and to speak up, but it is also very important to use the previous one, reason, right? And you have to make sure that the truth that you are speaking is the truth, because that can muddy the waters if you're not.
Yeah. Well, you're seeking truth and then you're speaking truth, isn't it? So as within reason of what truth can be, I guess we have to be careful of that one. Integrity. We are open, honest, and above board in all that we do. If something is on our mind, we communicate it respectfully and tactfully. I will say that from a getting engaged with the Humanist Australia community, there is a lot of people that throw out a lot of opinions in the group, and we all do live by this. We do communicate some hard topics, and we do respectfully engage with each other. I've written some scripts which have done on videos and things like that, and people have given me some feedback, and very pleasant conversations. I've seen disagreements happen, and the respect internally and naturally externally as well is very admirable. So
I have a friend who is also a board member of an organization, and so we have engaged both as friends and as colleagues. And we have had really tense conversations, like really difficult conversations about different topics, right, regarding the organization and stuff. But we have always done so with respect, even if we completely and fully disagree on something. And if we, are firm on our positions and are firm on what we want to happen or do or say, it's like we've always done it in a way that when we finish our phone calls, we finish them laughing and I'll see you in a little bit. Like I'll call you. I'll talk to you next week, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's important.
I've got a few friends like that. I've got a few friends that we've got a mutual ability. Well, actually, my brother I'm specifically referring to. He's my older brother, and he's a cooker in the best way, in the worst ways, in sometimes. But yeah, I'll just be like, mate, you're dumb. Like, no, you're an idiot. that's the way we communicate. But anyway, we've got culture next. We value great works of art, music, literature, and architecture, regardless of their origin, and respect culturally significant landscapes, geological formations, and artifacts. We support their preservation and believe in fair, equitable, and culturally sensitive access for all.
Oh, that's an interesting one to add there. I didn't think of it being part of a humanism, but I like it.
More of an Australian thing because we have a lot of Aboriginal side.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay, that makes sense.
Have people climbing all over it. Now people aren't climbing on it, things like that. So we have to be respectful.
Fair.
Also over here in Australia, we have not had enough focus, I believe, on the Aboriginal culture to the extent that even the Aboriginal people and First Nations people and Torres Strait Islanders, they are limited on what they understand of their own culture, which I think is just a horrendous thing to have gone through. But anyway, we're doing our best over here. Next is environment. We value and respect the planet and all the life it contains. We work to promote and sustain our ecosystem and reduce the environmental impacts of our industrial processes and resource consumption.
As an environmentalist myself, I approve that message.
Cool. And then the final one is forgiveness. Part of being human is making mistakes. When we make a mistake, we apologize. We do our best to make amends and learn from the mistakes we make. When someone harms us, we try to forgive. Where an apology and conciliation between parties has been achieved, we all strive to not renew the conflict.
I love that one. And I think that's where I imagined this Satanist, one of the Satanist tenets was meant to be, but it was worded in a much more difficult way than it should have been. I think this way is way better worded. It's very clear, very concise, that it is speaking about individuals and not like a enormous situation like you will have with the war or something like that. But when it is an issue between individuals, like self-accountability, holding yourself accountable and being able to say, people are letting me know that I made a mistake. And instead of being defensive about it, self-reflect and be like, okay, you know what? You're right. And this is the process that I can take in order to make things right. Or if it's something that we disagree on, then we can look for the best way to come to a point of a middle ground sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so that's our 9. I'll let the team know that you approve, which is fantastic. But yeah, I think these things. Once again, I'd be very surprised if anyone came to this page and goes, that's what I'm going to live by. Like, these are things that I believe that most people are just you're either doing it, and so therefore you agree with it, or you're not doing it and you're doing something else, and therefore you're just not going to gel with these things. Or you have a different interpretation of what, let's say, reason means. Reason may mean to a Christian that you believe everything in the Bible, which, we won't go into, putting down anyone in this scenario, but that does limit your ability to think outside the box. Personally, I don't care so long as you're being a good person and feeding that hungry child, and not discriminating against other people unnecessarily because of the Bible. So that's where I stand on that scenario.
But I have to say, I like the Australian humanist approach more than the American. So I guess I could call myself an Australian humanist from here on.
Oh, there we go. Another to the ranks. No.
I see Steve Jukadis is actually in the chat. We'll say hello to him. We spoke about you earlier, Steve, about your book and how you converted me into humanism. You forced me to become a humanist, Steve. Thank you. But now Jace has turned me into an Australian humanist. So here we are. I keep changing my mind. See,
Yeah.
some people think that I can't change my mind, but I do. I change my mind a lot as I take new information.